Welcome back to The Awakened Avoidant. This is episode 27. We bring to you another deposit on the journey towards generational health. I'm here today with father, brother, retired police sergeant, and SAG actor, Mr. Rodney R. Jones.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. We tried to do this last time and it didn't work out.
Malfunction.
Yeah, thank you for coming back.
Thank
what
you.
happened? The batteries were dead on my mic or something like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That was very disappointing.
It's okay.
But you went with it.
It's cool.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
You just coming from church, you said?
Yes, coming from church.
How was it?
Always good.
Yeah?
Always good.
How is that church? How long have you been going to that one?
About 17 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I started in 2007.
Oh.
And,
This is the Bethlehem Baptist, right?
Bethlehem Baptist,
Okay.
yes.
Nice.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about going myself, actually.
You should.
Yeah, I've been considering
come
bringing
as a
mine.
guest.
Yeah. When do you think that a kid would be able to take anything from that? Like, do you have any idea? Because I've been thinking about just to, like, exposure for him and for me too.
Well, they got Sunday school classes for juveniles, and it ranges from maybe 2 up.
Yeah.
And they break them into classes according to age. So I think he's getting close to 2.
Yeah. Yeah, he is too.
Yeah, he's pretty much getting to that entry level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you'd be able to sit through some of the services. I remember when
he's not in the chapel. He's down in Sunday school room.
Oh, okay.
With kids his age.
Oh, okay. So he wouldn't be where we're at.
No, not unless you decide to keep him with you.
Gotcha.
But if you wanted him to attend Sunday school classes, then he would go downstairs and would be with kids his age in groups with the teachers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So that way the parents can be upstairs enjoying the service, and the kids are down there getting until they're prepared to come upstairs.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Nice. I remember going as a kid. I liked it. I think I was, just as a kid, like a little bit impatient. They seemed rather long. I don't know if they're like that these days, but it just felt like it was forever and a day.
Hour and a half, hour 45, you're out.
Yeah.
And with the kids, as opposed to having them running around the church, and when the service is over, you just go downstairs to the classroom and get your kid. They're not going to release them where they're, trying to find you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just go down and pick them up.
Yeah, that's cool. When I was a kid, I think the service was at least like 3 hours and 45 minutes. That's what it felt like. It probably wasn't, but
they probably cut it down now, because now they're doing 2 services in the morning.
Okay.
9 and 11, so they got to get you in, get you out, so the next group can go in there.
Yeah.
So it's they got it pretty organized.
Is it still the same pastor when I was there? Yeah. Reverend Quan. Yeah, he's still doing it?
He's still doing it, man. 30-something years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Shout out to the Bethlehem Baptist Church.
Yes, indeed.
So I left out in here that you worked undercover. Did you do a lot of your work undercover, or some of it? Like, what portion of?
I did. I had a 22-year career, and 7 years was spent undercover doing narcotics.
Yeah.
And through that entry phase, I worked my way up into several task forces, including working with DEA, which is the feds, state task force. I got promoted to a sergeant, and they kept me in narcotics and special investigations, which was an elite unit.
Okay.
So I had a very good career undercover, but as all things come to the end, you just get to that point where you burn out.
Yeah.
It's to the point where I don't want to deal with drugs no more. I don't want to buy drugs no more. I don't want to be in that life anymore.
Yeah.
So after the 7 years, then I went back in the uniform.
Okay. What was the motivation behind you becoming a police officer in general? Just to begin with.
I didn't really want to be a cop. That's not what I thought about. But I started my law enforcement career working in the prisons. And I did 3 years at Holmesburg Prison up in the Northeast, which is a maximum security prison. And, we were working 12-hour days, 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, and that'll burn you out quicker than anything.
Yeah.
And it came to the realization that I would rather catch them than keep them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was like 12 hours, man. I'm doing 1/3 of their time. If they're doing a whole day. I'm there at least 8 hours. I'm doing 1/3 of their bit.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And, the blocks on Holmesburg was at least 150, 200 yards long. And you could have a census, which is a total population on your block of 300 to 400 inmates with two correctional officers.
Damn.
And all you have is a whistle. That's all you got. So you're locked in there. You can't get off of that block unless somebody on the outside unlocks the lock.
Time out. What time out? All you have is a whistle.
That's all you got is a whistle. There are no weapons inside the prisons. The weapons are in the towers or in the armory, okay? And they only broken out if there's a riot.
Is it still like that?
It's
or
still
is
like
that
It's
really?
like that. There's no weapons inside the prison.
Damn. So it sounds like you're describing one of the most dangerous situations a human can put themselves into.
Holmesburg was bad because it was antiquated. It was no air conditioning. It was built in 1800s. It was medieval.
Yeah.
And when you're on that block, you're looking down 100, 200 yards of just cells.
Yeah.
And all you see during the summertime is the heat coming off the block because it's that hot.
Damn.
95 and 9800 degrees, and these guys are walking around the blocks in their underwear, the boxer shorts.
Yeah.
Because there's no air.
Yeah.
And on occasion, we would bring a water hose in and wet the block down, and they would lay in the water to try to cool off, but those cells were like steam boxes.
Shit.
And I'm like, I can't, I did it for 3 years and 6 days a week, 7 days a week. I can't do it anymore. So that's when I made the conscious decision. I'm going to take the tests and see if I can get out of here, either a deputy sheriff and work at City Hall or a police officer. And I passed the police test, and that's how it started.
Yeah. That experience alone sounds traumatizing, just to see people in that environment having to go through that. Like, did that have any impact on you? Just witnessing people in these like subhuman conditions?
What I found out with the corrections is a lot of people did a lot of bad things, and it wasn't my job to judge them as to why they were there. It was just my job to supervise and make sure that they maintain their responsibilities as prisoners on the block. But there were a lot of people in there that really were innocent. They just couldn't make bail. And I started developing sympathy for those guys because I knew their story.
Yeah.
If he says, look, man, I really didn't do it, but I don't have the money to get out on bail. They gave me $100,000 bail. I don't even have $10,000 cash.
Yeah.
So they're locked in jail for 9, 10, 11 months till the trial comes up, and they beat it, then they can go home. But meanwhile, now their life is messed up.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just so unjust. And I developed a sense of sorrow for these people because I know that they were innocent. Now, the guys who weren't, you knew who they were. They get out, they come right back. Recidivism is really real.
Yeah.
And just the games that they play in there, man, was just enough to drive me out.
Yeah.
So
did you have, I guess, what was the relationship like with the inmates there when it's just two of you and hundreds of them? Like, did you ever have any situations where shit went left?
There were times when, when you first started, you're new. And when my class graduated, they put us all on the 3-11 shift, so we were all rookies.
Yeah.
Everybody that was on 3-11 had seniority, had been there. They moved them to day work, and the shifts were permanent. So our whole class of rookies go into this 3-11. So we're going in there spitting polish. We know how we want to make it based on what we've been trained. And you had good supervisors, but these guards, not the guards, the inmates, they're going to try you.
Yeah.
They're going to really try you to find out if you got heart, you got punk, can we get over on you, those little type of games.
Yeah.
And if you show a weakness, they're going to always come after you. So you got them stand up and show that, look, I can do this job.
Yeah.
I have no problem knocking you on your ass. I got no problem writing you up. I got no problem throwing you in the hole.
Yeah.
If something jumps off, it's a riot or something, and I get a club in my hand, I know how to diffuse that situation because you're trained for it.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to establish yourself as you are a correctional officer. You're not there's somebody just there hiding behind the badge.
Yeah, I
know?
like how you described that. If I get a club in my hand, I know how to diffuse the situation. Yeah, me too, right? Start going up top.
There you go, man. There you go.
That's hilarious. So I assume that you're very good at compartmentalizing because, like when I see you now, you present as a very balanced, even person, like stable in your personal life, but you've seen a lot of shit.
I've been through a lot personally. I've been through a lot professionally. Being able to go from correctional officer to police officer is a million miles apart because your mentality changes based on one job versus the other. Being a police officer, now it's like you are out there basically by yourself in a patrol car, and now you're out there responding to the public and you don't know who's who or what's what or what anyone has.
Yeah.
I could get a call for a hospital case and find a guy's in there beating the hell out of his wife. You know what I mean? So now I have to intervene, whether I have backup or not. I have to intervene.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to escalate, which was one of the first things they train you is you don't overreact in situations. You meet your opposition, whatever amount of force or rejection that you meet. If it escalates, then you have to escalate.
Yeah.
You can't come up here when the situation requires you to be here. This is why you'll see a lot of cops now shooting innocent and unarmed people. They didn't go in with the right mindset.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys now take the job, not because they want to be cops, just based on the benefits and the job.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to handle certain situations.
Yeah.
And when these situations come up, they overreact because the first thing they want to do is draw down on you and start shooting when it doesn't require that.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of the interactions that I see where they go bad. It's like, I don't know if it's the power dynamic or what it is, but the person that they'll be engaging will be here, and the police officer will take it here.
Yeah.
And once you get here, bringing it back down is obviously going to be a challenge.
It is, and that's why I said, you meet the escalation with whatever point it's at. Now, sometimes you have to come in a little bit higher than the normal just to get control of a situation. But once you get control of it, now it's your job to bring it back down where you can have communication. Because I've said 75% of the incidents police get, you can talk your way out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Listen, man, just let's calm down. Okay, I'm not here to lock you up. I just need to find out what happened between you or this person or however you want to spin it, but you got to get that communication going.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, a lot of cops don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And they've come in automatically. They got this, what we call tombstone courage, meaning you're only be acting tough because you got that gun and badge on.
Yeah.
Before you got that gun and badge on, would you go into North Philly? Come on, really, let's be real.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, if you can talk to people, that's half of the job of being a cop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you just, all you got to do is just talk. Once you get their attention and listen, you can probably de-escalate most things.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I think it's a personality thing. For some reason, like, you seem uniquely suited to do what you did, and at all levels, from police to undercover to actor. Like, you just have that personality.
You're catching me at a good time.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? When I was young, I was aggressive. I was an aggressive cop, meaning, I don't have a problem locking you up if you did something wrong, because the point of being a successful cop is to be able to do your job. And if you do your job and you make arrests, good arrests, the police department is going to acknowledge you with accommodations and awards.
Yeah.
The Fraternal Order of Peace will acknowledge you as a good officer. And that's what you want to be known as your peers. Well, he's a good officer. He's not afraid to do his job.
Yeah.
Okay? And, you want the citations. You want the stuff that's going to help you with your promotions and things like that. It's the way you're veered. You don't want anyone looking at you like, you know, there was a call came out, you're a man with a gun, but this dude didn't even show up.
Yeah.
You don't want that reputation.
Yeah.
You know, will you back me up? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's not going to back you up, you know. So now you got a record as this guy's, he's scared. He's just here. He's not, you can't count on him. He's not dependable.
Yeah.
You don't want
warm
that.
Body.
Yeah, so you just don't want that kind of reputation.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that you're honest about it, just saying that I'm just catching you at the good time, because
I'm
you're right,
mellow
I didn't really
now.
think about that. Yeah, you seem
I'm
super
mellow now,
you know,
because
chilled.
once upon a time I was aggressive, and you know, I didn't always have the mentality, well, we're going to talk things out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to de-escalate whatever we got to de-escalate, and if you want to take it higher, I'll meet the challenge.
Yeah.
Now, where I'm at now, there is no more de-escalation. You know what I mean? I don't, no more, you know what I mean? I'm not getting into no confrontation.
Yeah.
But if I'm out with my family, if I'm out with my woman, my children, and there's a situation, okay, let's not make it. Let's just, whatever you need to do, you do. But just remember, I'm hot. I'm armed and I'm hot.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
So you make it light on yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that's the mentality. But I don't look for trouble.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If I see something on the street, I'll dial 911. I'm not going to intervene. Mm-hmm. When I was a cop, I'm off duty. I see something, or I'm getting involved.
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting involved in it because I'm aggressive, and that's my job.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you feel like it was your duty? Did you feel obligated, or you just felt like because you could, you would?
I felt obligated because if I seen something happen to somebody in the public, and I think during the course of my career I had 2 off-duty arrests, both for robberies, and I seen it, and it was just like instinctively I responded. Mm-hmm. And I intervened and I locked the person up who was robbing someone that was older.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, when I thought about it, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that I was going to do that. I just seen it, put the car in park, and just jumped out and did what I had to do.
Yeah.
You know, but I might have been on my way to Wawa, to the supermarket, and just, it was just second nature to just intervene.
Yeah. That's interesting, because that situation actually sounds more dangerous than you being in uniform, because the person that you're trying to subdue doesn't know that you're a cop, right?
Well, you have to identify yourself. If you're going to take a police action, you always identify yourself.
Yeah. But like, is he just supposed to believe you? You know what I mean?
Well, if I jump out my car and I see you robbing somebody, I'm stepping out, police, and my gun's in my hands, or you believe it or don't, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I feel like because he doesn't know, may not believe it, it seems like it would make it more dangerous, because he's looking at you like, oh, this is just some dude identifying himself as cop, blam, blam. You know what I mean?
But I never thought of that.
Yeah.
You know, it never went south.
Yeah.
But it always worked out. Like I said, with the 2 off-duty arrests, for robbery, I ended up getting citations and accommodations for it.
Okay.
You know, which is, it's good on your resume.
Yeah.
You know, when time comes for you to try to get to a specialized unit, they look at your activity. Well, what have you done since you've been on the job? Do you write tickets, or do you arrest people? You know what I mean? Do you go to court? Do you testify? All that stuff comes into how a captain or above is going to view you in terms of bringing you into their specialized unit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you were out there putting the work in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I ended up getting into narcotics, which was undercover. Okay. Now, did I ever want to do it? No, but I was just ready to get out of uniform.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, here's my opportunity, but this is a time when crack was just now popping off. So whenever you're ready to go down that road, we'll go down there and we'll talk about the undercover life.
Yeah, actually, you just transitioned into it perfectly. I was wanting to ask you what was the motivating factors behind your switching to go undercover?
Okay, I had a couple of friends of mine that was working, and they were young like me, and they enjoyed it. They said it's just more exciting. It's more excitement, and it's a lot more money in it. Yeah. Because you're making a lot of arrests, and arrest equivalent to court time, and court time is overtime. So if my base salary as a cop was $50,000, and they're making $150,000 with overtime, that's a good life.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, in the 80s, that's a very good lifestyle.
Yeah, you balling back then.
Yeah. You know, it's something I'm like, well, I think I want to try it. If I don't like it, then they'll put me back in uniform.
Yeah.
But that's how I went into the undercover world.
That's interesting. Had you, prior to, like, was the danger a factor at all to you? Because to me, thinking about it now at 40, hell no. You know, hell no.
You know, back then, we're talking in the 80s, the streets were not as dangerous as they are now.
Yeah.
75% of the cops back then didn't even wear bulletproof vests. The city wasn't giving them out. They didn't start giving them out to maybe 1 or 2 classes before me in the academy.
Yeah.
We were some of the first to get vests.
Yeah.
And even then, you know, I didn't wear it because I had so many veteran officers around me that didn't wear it, and I'm like, you're not gonna wear it, then I'm not gonna wear it. You're not gonna clown me.
Yeah.
You know, because you're trying to fit in.
Yeah.
But you know, even back then when I came on, you didn't get semi-automatics. You got 6-shooters, revolvers.
Okay.
You know, it was 7, 8 years before they started giving out semi-automatic Glocks.
Yeah. So is that what people on the streets had too, for the most part?
They had it.
Okay.
They had semi-automatic guns.
Okay.
They had 45s. They had Glocks. They had 6 hours. They had all that stuff. And we, as police officers, walk around with a revolver.
Yeah.
You know, a 6-shooter. Now, if I want to reload, I got to use a speed loader, which is a device that holds 6 bullets. You just drop them in there and they automatically put 6 and you don't have to one at a time it.
Yeah.
You know, but these guys got guns with 18 bullets in it. And,
Yeah.
you know, so that kind of prompted the city to move to that direction. Well, let's get semi-automatic weapons for the officers and to at least put them in the game.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
out there with the 6-shooter and they got the, you know, the extendo clip.
Yeah,
and
they got all
that.
that good stuff, man. And it's like, you know, the worst thing in the world to do is to get into a shootout with somebody and run out of bullets.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah, or have to reload the way that you described. I didn't
Yeah.
even imagine that. Rather than just grabbing the clip,
That's
you
it.
know, back at
That's it.
How did you prepare for it?
For the undercover?
Yeah, to go undercover. Like, was there any preparation?
There was no preparation. It was one day I came to work and they said, Jones, you've been transferred. Report to the narcotics unit to a certain captain tomorrow at 8 o'clock. There was no preparation. I get down there the next day. He welcomed me. He said, you assigned to 4 squad. This will be your sergeant. You meet him tonight at 4. And the first night I walked in there, he was a seasoned officer, a Hispanic sergeant that was very good at his job. He had a very advanced unit, and I was the new guy. And he said, give me your gun, which was a revolver. Give me your badge. I gave it to him. Get in the car, let's go. Didn't say nothing to me, welcome, nothing. He drops and takes me down to 8th and Butler, which was a hot spot. He said, you see that house right there? I said, yes. Go in there, here's $10, go get some crack. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Go buy some crack.
Yeah.
Don't come out without the crack. Now we have this here. You know, the nerves are bad. I feel like throwing up.
Yeah.
I don't even know what crack looks like.
Yeah.
You know, all I know it comes in a vial. I don't know anything about it. Well, what happens? I get in there and they want me to smoke it. You know, you know, these are the things that you think about. You know, I don't know how to light it. What do I put in the pipe? I don't know. There's literally no training. There was no training.
Yeah, you
know,
wanted to smoke crack on the first day.
I don't know what to do. So I go in. It's a steel door. The guy I knock the door. It's a slide. What do you want? I said, I want 1 cap. You a cop? Nah. Come on in. He searches me. Go on in the back. I go in the back and it's a shoot house. The people over there shooting up. They're smoking. It's Never seen nothing like it. Stuff you see on TV.
Yeah.
I go in the back. The dude says, "Give me the money." I give him $10. Give me a valid crack. You want to smoke it here? Nah, I'm gonna take it back to the crib. I couldn't wait for him to open that door and let me out of there, man. You know, and that was the very first day on the street.
Damn, that's an interesting story. I like that though. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about the tactic or the method? Do you think that was the great way to introduce you into that?
I don't know how they do it now. I've been out of the game a very long time, but I think that when I started getting new officers, when I became a supervisor in the unit, I made sure that certain training they had, I would send them over to the feds and let them talk to the feds because of the people, the contacts that I'd made. Let them talk to them about undercover mindset, certain situations that could happen, how to de-escalate things like that.
Yeah.
You know, and they go from buying one valid cap, that's just making somebody think that you're a crackhead.
Yeah.
You know, it's all you're a crackhead. It's all you're gonna buy is one cap of Bow.
Yeah, it's interesting that the style, like obviously if you get through that, you can probably get through anything. That's probably what he's trying to just throw you in the fire and see if you can swim.
See if you can make it. Because it's not for everybody.
Yeah, but if you don't, you know what I mean? Like you said, what if it went left in the worst way possible? That just seems like a very extreme way.
Well, that's what happened to me. If it's I've heard stories of where it didn't go well for cops, and it was determined this unit isn't for you. We're sending you back to uniform.
Okay.
You know, you can't go in. You can't. You know, some of the white officers were forced to buy heroin. You know, blacks really didn't mess with heroin as much as they did.
Okay.
So they couldn't make the buy. You know, for whatever reason, they weren't convincing enough. And if you can't buy at that level, then you're useless.
Yeah.
So they would send them back to uniform.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, the shit all sounds just stressful. It sounds stressful.
It was stressful the first probably 6 months.
Yeah.
Because now you had to get into learning how to make purchases. If you do make the purchase, you have to make sure that the money was pre-recorded. We Xerox it to record the numbers. If we go back and hit the house with a warrant, let's see if we can find those bills, putting evidence on property receipts, transferring it down to evidence and things like that.
Yeah.
You know.
How did you manage the stress with no training and no tools and no resources? Like, what did you do as a young man?
It's you learn on the job. Each day was a different learning experience. The next day, I might not have been the guy to go in to buy the crack. I might have been the one outside surveilling the house. Mm-hmm. I might have been the one that, well, we're going to follow this guy. Let's follow him.
Yeah.
You know, put the tail on him. I got him. You know, things like that. I might have been the guy that, okay, we're going to teach you now how to type up an accurate search warrant. You bought drugs from this house. Now we want an affidavit to prove to a judge that this is what we got from this house. We want to go back and hit it with a warrant. So now you have to learn how to type up a proper warrant and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many different facets to Undercover. It just wasn't, I want to buy drugs. It was just a lot of different facets that took years to really get into it, you know.
For you, were there any, for me personally, I don't know if, and this is not a judgment, just me, my personal opinion on it. I don't think I could do it only because, I don't know, it's like a moral dilemma for me. The trickery, you know, like the getting to know someone really well and then, hey, I'm a cop. Like that, I couldn't do that to someone. Did you have any moral or ethical dilemmas in that regard?
By the time you get to that level where you're buying and getting to know people and develop relationships with these drug dealers, it was a year and a half down the road before I started going from buying small stuff to big stuff. And once you do that, you have to be convincing. Look, I'm not here to buy lightweight. I'm here to buy weight. I got my own organization.
Yeah.
Okay, I work out of Chester.
Yeah.
I work out of Westchester. I work out of wherever. You know, so I developed a relationship with someone through a confidential informant who hooked me up. It was either, look, you tell me who you are dealing with or you're going to jail.
Yeah.
So they're going to take me to where they get their supplies from. And this is my boy John from wherever, and he's here to buy some weight.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get comfortable with that person. You know, I buy an ounce of crack, give him $2,000-$3,000. If he doesn't get locked up, in his mind, when nothing happened, he's good to go. He's not a cop, because if he got a cop, he's not going to give me $3,000 and not do anything.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way you work up the organization. It's how you work up the weight to go from ounces to kilos.
Yeah.
And by the time I finished, I was buying kilos. So we're talking $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 a key. But now we're talking about Dominicans, you know, Jamaicans, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the danger increased 100-fold. You know, and I was so effective at the time, me and my partner, that we started working with the feds, with the DEA. Mm-hmm. And it was like they had unlimited resources where the city didn't. The city could give you maybe $400 or $500, $600. That's the best they could do in terms of, so we don't have to be worried about it, let it go. But the feds, they had unlimited resources. If you want to give them $20,000 and let it walk, they let it walk. They had it like that. So now it's like, well, what do you want? I want 4 kilos. Well, I'll give you a deal. I'll give them to you for $15 a piece. $60,000, you're $60,000. They don't get locked up. They trust you 100%.
Just off the one time?
Off the one time. So that now I can start buying up.
Yeah.
You know, and now as you're doing this, you're identifying members of that organization. So when time comes to make your arrest, you got a whole organization, you know, and you're taking them to federal court, which is unlike them going to City Hall. Mm-hmm. And we're buying crack, and it's like an ounce of crack back then was a mandatory 10-year sentence. Where if I took you to City Hall, you'd be out before I'd have my paperwork finished. So everything I did went federal.
The feds were hitting harder.
Fed was giving them some long time.
Yeah, that's what they always say. Football numbers when you go against the feds.
That's right. They're no joke, man.
Yeah.
They're no joke.
Why is that?
I think number one, they have unlimited resources. Number one, and they can change the laws at the drop of a dime just through legislation. Mm-hmm. With state and local, you don't have that ability, that flexibility. It is what it is. The law says that you're going to get this for that, where the feds can turn around and say, well, we don't like that, we're going to raise it up. As opposed to 5 years, we'll give you 20 years for the same crime. Yeah. That's just what they can do through legislation. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. After all the work that you did, well, actually, let me not skip to that, because that's going to be kind of like an end question. How were you able to stay just emotionally balanced and mentally? How did you maintain your mental health and emotional health through these very stressful situations and in these stressful environments?
You know, it was when I look back on it, it actually cost me my first marriage. Because number one, I was never home. Mm-hmm. My mentality was, you can't work undercover and then come home and be daddy. You know, you don't have that flexibility of that switch. Mm-hmm. So when I'm out and about with family, I'm always looking who knows me that may run into me that knew me as undercover. Mm-hmm. And now you see that that's not what I am. That was always a concern. You know, I'm not going to go to church. I'm always away. And that cost me my first marriage.
So you had to be more of the person who you were when you were undercover than the family man that you were?
I really became that person 24 hours a day. Yeah. You know, and being young, late 20s, early 30s, I loved it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was exciting. It was around the time that Miami Vice was out, and it was just like, man, this is some good shit. Yeah. You know, I like the fancy clothes. I like the fancy cars. You know, I'm not buying nickel and dime shit no more. I'm portraying myself as a major player. Yeah. So I got to look the part. A lot of gold back then. You know, fancy car. I had a partner that I trusted, and we were killing the game, man. It's. You know, I didn't feel bad because in my mind, what I was doing was helping neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of the complaints that we got came from anonymous calls to the hotline. You know, this guy's taking over my mother's block, or a block of senior citizens, and they put 2 crack houses in it. You know, they're afraid. So I looked at that. Well, this is who's going to help these people if we don't. You know, kids are getting shot on these blocks. Who's going to help them if we don't? If a uniformed car goes down the street, they just don't do anything. They just go about their business. But as soon as the cop leaves, they're back out slinging.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But if you go in there and you start buying and getting to know people, and they know you and they think that you're a drug boy, they're going to believe in you until the end of the investigation. Now everybody's locked up.
Yeah, but you.
But well, they would lock me up too. I'd make sure when the takedown went, they locked me up too.
Okay.
So I'm locked up with you.
Yeah. But eventually they obviously do.
When we go to court and they see me walk in the courtroom, and it's like, well, I'll be goddamn.
Damn.
He's a cop. He was a cop. So they let me know that I was very effective. Me and my partner were very effective.
Yeah.
You know, and over the course of my career, I had 2 contracts put out on me. But that, that was just, I really wasn't concerned. That just let me know not to go back into that area. If it was in West Philly, I wouldn't work West Philly for about 6-7 months. I'd go somewhere else. But that's how the game was, man. It was just like, it was like an emotional high.
Yeah, so like an adrenaline rush.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it stayed with you. It stayed with you.
Yeah, you were the man, and you basically were operating with impunity, doing something that was extremely exciting. I could see, and I guess for you, you rationalize it because the ends justified the means, and like you said, you felt like you were doing good.
I'm helping communities,
Yeah.
and I'm taking people that shouldn't be on the street off the street, and we're taking a lot of guns off the street, and we're taking a lot of bad guys off the street.
Yeah. How do you feel about it now, like seeing where the city is and the country in general, and the work that you did? Do you feel like it had an impact?
I think it did back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Now it's just, I don't see where we are now as the same world we lived in back then.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, these people are doing their thing, and it's not even drug related. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just we're living in wicked and violent times.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that back then. If you wanted violence back then, it's related one way or another to drugs.
Yeah.
But now it's just wickedness. You know, it's just wickedness. Kids getting shot, people getting carjacked. For no apparent reason.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to continue to go in that direction as long as the poverty and, wealth disparity just increases.
Yeah.
It seems to coincide with that, in my opinion,
It does. You're absolutely right. It does. And I don't see it getting any better. And I know it's not, because you're looking all over the country and you're seeing cops just retiring in vast numbers. They can't take it anymore. They got to get out.
Yeah.
And they'll lose 60, 70 officers, especially Philadelphia, 60, 70 officers to retirement a month, and they can't replace them. They'll get a class of 20 or 30, but how do you disperse 20 or 30 officers over the course of the city?
Yeah.
When you just lost 70 in 1 month, 140 in 2 months, you're not going to replace what's needed. So now you're operating shorthanded in all these districts.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because of the violence. I mean, little things like all the dirt bikes are running around. That's just, you can't control them.
Yeah.
But you just can't control them because it's a manpower shortage.
Yes, it's wild. Mad Max out there. How do you feel about, like, looking back on it after everything that you did? Do you feel like it was worth it, the risk that you took? Because you put your life on the line.
Back then, I said I lived a very good life.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very, very comfortable in terms of material wealth, in terms of financially be stable, a nice car, a nice house. the job paid for me to be comfortable. And then when I retired and moved on to my second career, it was that experience that I got that got me that job. And then it really showed me, oh, the way I was living wasn't nothing based on what I'm making in corporate America. And nobody's shooting at me. I'm working 5 days a week, no holidays, no weekends, 8 hours a day, and they're paying me double the salary I was making as a cop, and I'm dressing in suits and ties and not doing nothing.
Yeah.
So that experience got me to the next level of my life and career, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, I never knew that people could live like this.
Yeah.
You know, I never knew.
So yeah, so you took something from it then.
Yeah.
Even though you took some losses and turmoil at home.
Yeah.
It still was able to benefit your life.
It worked out.
Long term.
I mean, God has a way of doing things that you don't understand, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting time of my life.
I wanted to ask you, I think you were kind of like throwing pieces of it in, and you had told me a story before. Can you tell us what your most memorable experience was doing undercover work?
Yeah. There were a lot of them, but the one that stood out in particular was I was involved in a shootout while being undercover. And I was working on the federal task force with DEA, and I had a confidential informant that lined me up with someone who ran the organization, and I had bought a couple ounces of crack cocaine from him, so he was comfortable with me because he got the money. I rolled out of there, nothing happened, so he wasn't a cop.
Yeah.
So after 2 or 3 times of doing this, we decided, we got his organization identified, it's time to make an arrest. And the plan was to go buy another ounce of crack, and my partner was with me, and we had undercover cops situated on foot in the area. And the takedown signal, which means you arrest, is when we exchange money. I give him the money, he gives me the drugs, you come in and lock all of us up. And for whatever reason, there was a miscommunication in the debriefing, meaning I gave specific information. It's a hard takedown, meaning come in, guns drawn, everybody on the ground, you lock us all up, including myself and partner, and get us out of the area. They didn't come in like that. They came in, all right, we're the police, everybody's under arrest, and no guns were drawn. And the guy who I was dealing with says, oh, well, this is they're not no cops.
Yeah.
This is a stick up. And he pulled out a weapon and was getting ready to point and shoot 2 officers that came in. And no one seen him pull the gun but me. He was up on a step. I was 2 steps beneath. He was on the porch, I'm sorry, and I was 2 steps beneath him. And when he pulled his gun, he became a threat. And my partner's right behind me, 2 steps down. I pull out my weapon, and I instantly became a threat to him, and he fired on me. And it was about 8 o'clock at night. It was dark, January 16th, 1991. I remember the date.
Damn.
The bullet whizzed by my ear, about this far apart. I could see it. It was like slow motion. And it hit my partner, and he went down. And I'm thinking, you shot my partner. So I immediately fired. And by then, backup was coming in from everywhere. And I got off 3 rounds before my gun, I had a Glock automatic, and it jammed. So I had to take cover to clear that jam to get ready in the event I need to fire again. When backup came, they were Fed boys, and they had these submachine guns and shotguns, and they just jumped out the car and just started blasting. I mean, it was like we were in Vietnam. There's bullets coming from everywhere. And I'm down low. My partner's still laying on the ground, and the guy's on the ground. So I called for a ceasefire, and I looked at my partner and he's getting up. And what happened was the bullet went in and out of his jacket. Now, when you're undercover, you don't wear vests. So by the grace of God, it missed me by 3 inches. It went in and out of his jacket, never touched his body. Okay? So I let him, he's okay. So as I approached the suspect, he's down on the ground. I kick his gun away, and I said, "You're under arrest with the police." And he's crying that my chest is hurting. And I know I shot him in the arm. And I'm like, "You'll be fine. You're shot in the arm." And, no, my chest is hurting. So we called rescue to get him out of there. And they took him over to one of the local hospitals. And it's like, what's wrong with him? And we've come to find out that the bullet that I hit him with in the shoulder ricocheted off his collarbone and lodged inside of his heart. So he's bleeding internally. That's where his pain is coming from. And he eventually died.
Damn.
So that was the most dramatic experience because I thought I lost my partner. And at the same time, if that bullet had been three inches to the left, someone would have been telling my family, "Well, you know, your dad is dead or your husband is dead."
Yeah.
You know, it hit me square between the eyes.
Yeah.
But God had his hand on that experience because I'm telling the story and he's not.
Yeah.
My partner is you know, we're still the closest of friends, and we relive it every time we talk it. You know,
Yeah.
but he joined church the very next day, and he's still at that church because it was only God's grace that saved him.
Yeah.
So that was the most dramatic. I mean, there was a lot of other things, but that was the most dramatic experience.
Yeah, a shootout. I mean,
Yeah.
it's dramatic for me just hearing it right now. Seriously, because I'm thinking, would you describe that as a near-death experience?
It could have been,
Yeah.
but I think it let me know that there's a greater power out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to do certain things, you need God's grace. And I'm not going to say I'm the most righteous or the most spiritual, but I do believe in a higher power. And there are times when, you know, God intervenes in things, and there's times when he doesn't. Mm-hmm. And this was one time when I personally believe that God intervened in that situation where neither me or my partner left that experience unscathed.
Yeah.
And the guy who created it and fired first didn't survive. Now,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate because, you know, I had gotten to know the guy and I thought it was, other than what he was doing, I didn't think he was a bad person. Mm-hmm. He was a criminal,
Yeah.
but I would never have mistreated him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't have mistreated him. But the fact that I didn't condone what he was doing, and he had that whole block upside down with fear and terror, you know, he deserved to be locked up.
Yeah.
But the fact that he got into that shootout and didn't survive, that was his own doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And here I am 20-something years, 30 years later, and I'm telling the same story I told back in 1991.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So you don't, I mean, it's still with you, but you don't carry it or feel any responsibility for it or anything?
I did for a long time. They said, you know, once you, as a police officer, if you get anything like that, they take you off the street. They send you to counseling. And the therapists have to clear you to make sure that you're not mentally damaged by that event. Mm-hmm. And my biggest thing was, I don't regret what happened. The only thing that bothered me about that incident is that somebody, if it had worked out differently, someone would have been telling my children, "Your dad's dead."
Yeah.
You know, and he was doing something that was his job, but he's no longer here. How would that have impacted them?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How would that have impacted my wife at the time?
Yeah.
You know, and it's unfortunate that it worked out that way, but I had no regrets for doing it. You know, I did my job, and I would do it 100 times. Hopefully, it would work out the same way 100 times. Yeah. But that was the one and only shooting that I had gotten into that was ended like that.
Yeah. I feel like you did every job you're supposed to do. You self-preservation, you know, you preserved your own life, the life of others, and your job as a police officer.
Well, I mean, you're paid to do certain things, and you want your peers. It's very important that you be recognized by your peers as an effective officer.
Yeah.
You know, he was a good supervisor. He's a good cop. You know, when you in uniform, the sector that you work, the neighborhood, they know you. If anything's going on, they'll let you know. Look, Jones, there's such and such is happening down there. Can you look into it?
Yeah.
You know, you build a rapport with that community relations as a police officer in uniform. But you know, I don't have any regrets. I love being a cop. It was when time came for me to retire. You know when it's time to retire.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to do it anymore. You want to do something different.
Yeah.
And that's the way my career ended.
It sounds like you made an impact, because I was asking you about how you feel about it now, with the things now, and that's kind of not even really a fair question, because you made an impact during your time.
Yeah.
When it was happening. It sounds like, you know, you did that.
Yeah.
It sounds like you carried that. I know that you've had a lot of situations where, well, I'm assuming you see a lot of money. Right?
Yeah.
You see a lot of money.
Yeah.
At some point, there's a decision. When you see this money, you know, we've all seen the movies where guys stuffing and grabbing and taking. Like, at some point, there's a decision, right?
Yeah.
But I know it hits you, like, you just, like, no, I'm not going to do this. And some people say, yes, I'm going to do this. Is there, I don't even, this is just a random question that I don't even really know how to frame, but what do you do, or what is the response when you're presented with that moment? Like, there's money here. I know I can take this if I want to, and no one's going to find out. But you have done the righteous thing when presented with that.
It comes down to who are you morally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm a moral person, okay? I'm not going to take something that doesn't belong to me, whether or not I can get away with it or not.
Yeah.
But back then, drug money is dirty money. If I take dirty money, I'm stooping down to their level. The guys that are working for me, once I became a supervisor, they had to have the same beliefs and morals that I did. Because if you didn't, I don't want you.
Yeah.
You know, there were times where we would confiscate $60,000, $100,000, $200,000 cash, and every bit of it went on the property receipt. And I know a lot of cops that weren't so moral, put it that way. There is a show out called Betraying the Badge. And what it does is it went around the country and it showed different cities and guys, cops that were dirty. And they documented their incidents. And one of them they did was about guys in Philly, guys that I knew personally. They called them the Four Horsemen. And they were terrorizing Philly, man. When I tell you they were terrorizing Philly, they were robbing drug dealers and taking the money, taking drugs, reselling it on the street. And to make a long story short, they got locked up. Somebody snitched on them.
Yeah.
The feds got involved, locked them up. They did a lot of time, 17 to 20, 25 years. You know, it's on TV now. When I watched it, I'm like, I knew those guys, man. I knew them.
Yeah.
I seen them like every day in court. Never knew what they were doing.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
You know, but when it came out, I said, it doesn't surprise me. Because everybody can't withstand that temptation.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at $100,000 in a paper bag in an abandoned house. You know it's a stash. No one knows it's there but you and the person that put it there.
Yeah.
If I want to walk away with it, can I get away with it? Sure. But what if Internal Affairs put it there?
Yeah.
You know, it's always that small possibility, because we had a unit called Impact, and that's all they did was try to set up cops. Let's see how honest you are or how honest you can be.
Damn.
And they would do little things like that.
Now that sounds like a fight. I can't imagine being a cop out there. You're fighting the streets, and then you got to fight against people trying to trick you into doing the wrong thing too.
Well, that comes down to your morals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are you a thief or are you not?
Yeah.
If you find this money, there's a procedure that you have, a protocol you should follow. Hey, look, you get on, you call a supervisor. Look, I found this money. Let's go in together. Me and you as a supervisor, let's count it, put it on a property receipt, and take it down to evidence. That's the protocol.
Yeah, that's crazy. Good for you for never, you know.
Look,
never,
I
never
can't do
doing
no
that.
jail
Just-
time.
Yeah,
That was my whole thing. I can't. I worked in a prison. I'm not going to prison
Yeah,
over some money that I don't need.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't need it. I make very good money doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't have to steal.
yeah,
But everybody doesn't have that mindset, you know. And a lot of cops, didn't have that strength, and a lot of them did the wrong things, and you know, they went to jail. They were from friends of mine.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, how the hell do you got a vet and a Cadillac on a cop salary?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not making sense.
Not to me, it don't.
Yeah,
But I stay in my lane. You know what I mean? Do you?
yeah,
And eventually it caught up with him, and off he went.
yeah. It seems like it always does. I imagine at some point there's no way that you're gonna get away with that forever.
No.
Like nothing. You don't get away with anything forever. It just doesn't work like that.
I tend to believe that, you know, things do have a tendency to catching up with you.
Yeah,
And my line is, why take that chance?
yeah,
Why should I take that chance and embarrass my friends, myself, my family? Because they'll put your face on news. This is Sergeant so-and-so. They locked him up for, you know, stealing money and drugs. And now I'm in court, got to pay an attorney.
yeah. Everything you work for finished. Your name
It's
tarnished.
gone.
They probably go back over cases that you did. Throw some of them out.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah, and then you're going to jail on top of it.
And you lose
Yeah.
your pension.
Yeah, it'd be the worst decision that anyone could make, really.
And that was my mindset.
Yeah.
And that's what I would talk to my guys.
Yeah, for a very short gain.
Look,
too.
it's if you think it's worth it, then you don't need to be here working with me.
Yeah,
You know, go back and do something else, but you're not going to stay here and do that.
yeah,
If you tell me you confiscated $200 better be on that property receipt. When time go to court, $200 better be as evidence in court. You know, and everybody was not like that.
yeah,
It's just temptational. You don't know what your limits are until you test it.
yeah, yeah. That's what I was wondering. So I was just thinking. I mean, personally, I wouldn't do it either for similar reasons. I'm too rational and logical. Like, I'm not going to jail for something like that. You know, maybe if it was $1 billion, I don't know, but you know, there might be a number, but
Listen, man. Well, like I said, once you worked in jail, I worked in prison.
yeah,
I can't do 5 minutes as an inmate.
yeah,
I just can't.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
I just can't.
Yeah, I was in a holding cell one time overnight, and I didn't enjoy it at all. It was a very strange experience. I felt like literally like a caged animal. I felt like I was losing my mind.
Once the
first
someone,
24 hours.
When somebody takes your freedom from you, man, your
Yeah.
whole world changes.
Yeah, you turn into this like whatever we were before. The civilized person that you are, that starts to fade away once you
Yeah.
get behind those bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I felt that, and it was just a day, and I was drunk too. But so yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's a lot. I wanted to ask you, with everything that you did in your undercover work, I'm assuming that helped you transition into acting.
Yes, I didn't see it initially, but the way I ended up getting into acting is a friend of mine who was a cop as well. He ended up leaving the job. He got tired of doing it, and he went out west, and he became security for Oprah. And doing security with Oprah, he ended up being around a lot of celebrities. Mm-hmm. And it prompted him to want to learn how to direct. And that's what he did. And he called me once and said, hey, look, I'm doing a film. I'm coming back to Philly. I got a small part. Would you be interested? I'm like, well, what is it? You're going to be a CIA agent. You don't have to talk. You don't have to learn no lines, just a few actions. You want to get into it? I said, for you, yeah. And that's kind of like how it started.
Okay.
And then from there, I would advise. I mean, I enjoyed it. Yeah. Because I saw how movies were made. You know, the lights and the cameras and all this here. It fascinated me. Yeah. And I was retired from pharmaceuticals, so I really wasn't doing anything, just chilling and traveling. And he advised me, well, I think if you like this, you can do it too. He said, you just have to take some acting classes. So I said, okay, I can do that. So I went to an acting class, and a guy by the name of John Pallotta, I call him Sensei, because he was my mentor. And when I first met him, I didn't care for him because he was arrogant. And he said, sit down, I want to talk to you in front of the whole class. I'm brand new. Tell us about what you do, who you are. And the Undercover thing came up, and it intrigued him. And he said, if you can convince people that you're not a cop when you are, that's the ultimate form of acting. He said, what you do on TV is nothing. What you do in the movies is nothing. Because if you make a mistake, cut, you redo it. But out there, if you don't convince somebody that you're not who you say you are, that's a bad scene. You could die. You know, this guy's a cop, you know, you're just done. He said, if you can do that, you can act. I can teach you how to act on camera. And that's what he did. And it became a passion, but a hobby. You know, I don't have to make a living doing it. You know what I'm saying? If I get a role and I like it, then I'll do it. If I don't like it, then I don't do it. If I don't feel like doing nothing for 6 months, I don't. You know, I don't have to make a living doing it. But, you know, what I was able to do during this time is I was able to get enough credits under my belt that allowed me to join the union, which is SAG. Okay. And once you do that, I'm in the same union as Denzel and, you know, all the big boys. We're all in the same union. Now, they're going to make a lot more money because they're A-list actors, but now in the union, if you get a good job, you get a little bit more money. Yeah, they have to pay you a certain way. So you get a little bit more clout. You know, when you're on set, you eat a little bit better. Okay. You know, when you're non-union, you get a box lunch. Yeah. You know, when you're union, you get filet mignon. You get pasta. You know, you eat at a table with diners. It's nice. Yeah. And I just said one day, I'm not eating no more box lunches, cold cheese sandwiches and apples. I'm not doing this anymore. You know, I'm not doing this anymore.
Like my 2-year-old.
I'm not doing this anymore. And that's how I got into the union. And to me, that was just another accomplishment, you know. But at the same time, it's too grueling an industry to say I can do this full time. Yeah. I mean, it's hard work. You know, it's hard work. It's to learn 10 to 15 pages of dialogue. Yeah. You know, that's time consuming. Yeah. You know, and
I can barely remember what number episode it is. Every time I come in here, we're only on 27.
Yeah, so this is just another chapter of my life that I wanted to see if I could master. Yeah. And once I got some film credits under my belt, I joined the union. I said, well, this is success. So now we'll see what comes down the pike. What's next?
Have you been in anything that we would recognize? Any films?
I've done Power. Okay. I did two episodes of Power. I did Billions. I did the mayor of Eastwood, but they were small roles, background roles. But nevertheless, I was in it.
Oh, okay, nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Mayor of Eastwood was a dope show. It was HBO. Yeah. I seen all them Power.
And you know, my favorite show at the time was Power, and I just said, if I can get on Power, I don't care. Yeah. If I can get on Power. Yeah. And I got on it with a speaking role, and I was in a role with Method Man. And I'm like, I finally arrived.
Yeah.
I have arrived. But when they hit the production floor, they cut the part out.
Oh, shit.
So it never aired. But in my mind, I was on Power.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at my resume, if you go to that episode of Power on the website, you'll see my name and picture in there as an inmate or whatever the title was. I was there with them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was my favorite show. I was on it. I'm good.
Yeah, that's an accomplishment. To have a show and then to say I want to be on it and then to end up being on that shit. It's crazy.
Twice.
That'd be like
episodes.
me saying, I think I want to have a role in Game of Thrones and then being on the Game of Thrones. Like,
it doesn't matter what capacity.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that
I'll
there
be
with
sweeping somewhere in the back.
I'm there with people that everybody knows worldwide.
Yeah, good for you.
You know, and I'm sitting there and I'm, you know, at offset, I'm talking to Method Man, or I'm talking to 2-Bit, the guy 2-Bit, you know, what he's telling, just hang in there, man. He said, look, I started background.
Yeah.
He said, you know, just stay with it, keep the grind up. Just keep the grind up. But at some point in time, man, you said, you know what, I like it, and then COVID hit. COVID shut everything down.
Yeah.
So nobody did anything for a year or two, and then the actor strike came.
Yeah.
So I'm going downtown for the protests and all that, you know.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you were doing that. You
I was
posted
down
some,
there.
Yeah.
So you know, it's interesting, but until you get to that upper tier, it's to me it's just a hobby.
Yeah.
You know, it allowed me to meet a lot of famous celebrities, and they offered a lot of advice, but you know, everybody's not meant to be Denzel Washington or Samuel L. Jackson. You know, everybody has to stay in their lane. And if you get your break, you get it. If not, then are you comfortable with what you've accomplished? And I can say, of course I am. If I don't do it ever again, I'm still a member of SAG.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you got a lot of accomplishments, been very successful in your life. How do you feel about like what you've done up to this point in your life?
I think that I've had a blessed life.
Yeah.
I've had my share of bumps, and it's been like a roller coaster ride. I've had my highs, I've had my lows, I've had my extremely high moments, and I've had my extremely lows. You know?
Yeah.
But where I'm at right now is a very, very comfortable place, because I know that I have more good days behind me than I do in front of me. And I can't think of anything that I want to do that I haven't done. I can't think of anything I want to own that I haven't owned. I can't think of any place I want to go that I haven't been. And the most important thing right now is to have somebody that's in your life that you could share that with, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm there.
Yeah.
You know, through good or bad, I'm there, and that's the blessing. Because without that person, it's still a void.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be going toward the last portion of your life with a void.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that God put me here at this time with this person for a reason, and it's the best chapter.
Good for you.
You know what I'm
man.
saying?
Yeah, and we know the person that you're talking about,
Absolutely.
and that person is a good person, one of the best. So.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, man. Congratulations on
Thank you.
everything that you've done. I appreciate you for sharing everything, your story, coming out and letting the people know what it's like to be an undercover.
Hey man, if you ask me would I do it again, knowing what I know now, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that the chances that I took wasn't really worth the reward. But being young and aggressive and the excitement, that fueled it.
Yeah.
But I don't need that kind of excitement anymore. You know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't advise people to take that road with the way streets are now.
Yeah.
You know, it's a totally different breed out there. It's a totally different mindset of people out there. I don't even call them criminals. These are just cold killers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I see it.
Yeah.
And you know, the cops that are out there, I pray for my friends that are still working. I pray that they can retire safely so they can spend, you know, some of the time with their families and enjoy their retirement. But I've been retired from that job, man, for 24 years. So I've been blessed to be able to say 24 years I've been collecting my pension. And 3 weeks ago, I went to a funeral of a friend of mine who retired. 2 years, he was gone.
Damn.
You know what I mean? After working 27 years, he retired. 2 years later, he was in the ground.
Damn, that's an interesting ride, right? You thinking that you're putting in all that work to get to that pension and then
Collected for 2 years and you're out.
yeah, that's interesting.
So, you know,
You never know.
it's you don't know what God has in store for you. But, you know, I try to explain to people you have to enjoy life because there are no do-overs. You know, enjoy life, get the best out of it while you can, and try to live it without regrets. Life is going to give you regrets, but try not to make your own regrets, you know?
Yeah. Hopefully some of them see this, and you know, the police officers and the people that serve that are going through it see that there's, you know, light at the end of the tunnel.
There
Like,
is
some people
life.
can walk off into the sunset and retire and get the pension and be healthy and balanced and, you know, be fulfilled in their life after that.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, the main thing is to come off that job safely and make your family a priority, you know, and try to stay healthy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Last question before we wrap up. Do you have a favorite actor or actress? Couple favorites?
I got two favorites,
Yeah.
and I probably would give anything to work with Kevin Costner
Okay.
and Denzel. I think those two are the epitome of actors for me.
Yeah.
I've watched them since they started. I really enjoy their work. In terms of their women, my favorite two probably would be Felicia Rashad, Claire Huxtable,
Yeah.
and Nia Long.
Okay.
Those would be my two favorite female.
I like that. That's good choices. I'm gonna go Viola Davis
He's a good one.
and obviously Denzel, and I like Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey's good.
Yeah.
He has a large range.
Yeah, I love Viola Davis. Did you see the movie? It was like I think it was like a jazz. It
The
was,
Bread Bottoms,
yeah, that one.
I did.
She took that thing to a
Yes, she
whole,
did.
she went out of this,
Yes,
she
she
just
did.
took it.
That was a very good
That was,
movie.
when I seen that, I mean, I always knew she was a good actor before that, but when I seen that, I was like, oh, she's doing something different.
She has a very good range
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I mean those are the four people I name would just be, whether I worked with them or not is unimportant. But if I could just be in the same room with them and just talk to them about getting knowledge from them.
Yeah.
Now I've talked to someone like, I've talked to a lot of actors, man. Terrence Howard,
Interesting dude.
he's a good dude. I've talked to a lot of actors, man, and everybody will give you their own piece of advice.
Yeah.
And what you try to do is just take that advice and try to shape and mold it into something that fits your character.
Yeah.
And helps you develop as an artist.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's interesting, the acting part. I've never done it, but just art in general. It's like you're trying to go out there and you're trying to be something else, but with a piece of you in it too. You know, like whatever that is. I can't quite describe it because I don't act, but you know, just like the representation, like you're trying to embody some other person, but there's a piece. I'm just saying the same thing over again. The piece of you in it. That's what it seems like.
That's exactly what it is. You called it absolutely right. You take a script and you say, I have to captivate this writing on this paper and develop it the way I think it should be and make sure it's the same thing that the director sees.
Yeah.
And make that person you.
Yeah.
And he may be the total opposite of you, but you have to be believable.
Yeah.
When you see it on film, you have to say, damn, I know that's Rodney, but damn, he played a good drug dealer, or he played a good pastor.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I really thought he was a pastor, you
Yeah.
know, and that's when you know that you have the ability to act, you know, and whenever your sister comes, we have deep conversations because she's given me a lot of advice as well. But it's a tough industry,
Yeah.
but it's fun if you really get into it.
Yeah.
You know, it's really fun because it allows you to meet a lot of people that normally you wouldn't meet.
Yeah.
You know, and it gets you a chance to pick their brain, and they can offer you some advice that no one else can give you. You know, because they've been doing it so very long, and they're good in it. They might have won awards. Or, they may have connections for you. You know, you never know. So I'm thankful that I was able to take that journey. I've been doing it since probably 2018. So we're talking maybe 6 years. And if I don't do it ever again, I think I've met the challenge that was before me. And I'm pleased with it. If it goes further and I get bigger, fine. If not, that's fine too. You know, the fact that I was able to join the union was a huge accomplishment for me.
Yeah.
Because so many people said, well, you'll never do it. Why won't I do it? Because you couldn't?
Exactly.
You know, you don't.
Projecting.
Yeah, you know, so my thing is, if somebody tells me you can't do this, my first response, just watch me,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
that's the way I raise my children and my grandchildren. Somebody ever tell you you can't do them, you tell them you just watch, you know?
I like that. I think that's the closeout right there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate
appreciate
you for coming
man.
out,
Thank
sharing
you
your
for
story.
me. Yes, sir.
Mr. Rodney R. Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Been a pleasure.
We'd like to thank you for tuning in to The Awakened Avoidant. We hope our convo has provided you with insight, inspiration, and healing energy. As you go about your week, let's continue to work together to heal ourselves and our community. Stay safe and continue to spread healing vibes wherever you go. Catch a new episode Wednesday weekly on all platforms. Strawberry vinaigrette in my fridge. Made it from scratch, that's just what my life is.